looking at the clock, thinking how long until I can eat.
Mark, how did you find carnivore?
Well, it was more of a journey, really. I started off um, on the low carb diet. Um, the kind of history was a doctor told me, I think in about 2005, that I had a fatty liver, um, and I should probably um, clean up my diet. Um, so what I did was the kind of thing that you're kind of supposed to do. So cut down on the sugary foods, on the desserts and cakes, the fried food, the chips and the McDonald's, and try and eat more healthy, or what's considered more healthy in general. And I kind of did that for a bit, but then I still kind of felt okay. I was physically active. I was working in a manual job. I didn't feel particularly uh, unhealthy. And I kind of, I guess, just carried on generally eating the same way. Um, but over time, I started noticing a few changes in my health. So I found myself feeling more thirsty. I was drinking a lot of water. I found myself dehydrated a lot, waking up with a dry mouth, feeling really tired more and more, and just kind of things that happen so gradually that you don't really, from day to day, I didn't really notice that anything was changing that drastically. But it got to the point where I was drinking like 3 liters of water a day, just to not be dehydrated. I had like constant headaches. I was putting on a lot of fat, um, and I kind of had a feeling that this liver thing that I've been told about might have something to do with it. Also, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, I had Crohn's disease. I was given um, quite a lot of steroids, a steroid called prednisolone, which is like an anti-inflammatory steroid. And I kind of think that that kind of contributed to the situation a bit I was in with the liver, and yeah, just over time I started having these symptoms, and I kind of had an idea what was going on, and I kind of thought, well, this sounds a bit like type two diabetes, what kind of symptoms people get. Um, so, but I didn't go to a doctor. I got to a point where I wasn't really trusting of most of the GPs that I'd been to. But I came across a book called, I think it's called Good Sugar, Bad Sugar, because the guy who wrote it was a guy who wrote two other books that I read. One of them was called The Easy Way to Stop Smoking. One was called The Easy Way to Control Your Drinking. And I'd read both of those books, and I've stopped smoking easily, and I stopped drinking easily. So I read this other book. It was called Good Sugar, Bad Sugar, I think. And it was really advocating a low carb diet. So no, I think it's like no root vegetables because they're higher in carbs, but raw vegetables are okay, and fruit was okay. So I started doing that, and I immediately felt better. I lost a lot of fat, and I stuck it out for about 6 months, and yeah, I felt great. All my symptoms that I had previously had gone, and I thought, great. Whatever is wrong with me, I've kind of reversed it. And then one day, like I was feeling lazy, I ordered a pizza, and I ate it, and I felt okay. And then a couple of days later, I thought, well, if I can eat pizza once, and maybe I can have it again. And I kind of started slipping back into the kind of old habits, and I still felt okay. Um, and then for about a year, I think I just went back to the same way I was eating before. Um, but then the same thing happened again, and after about a year, I started noticing that my old symptoms were starting to come back, um, and um, I knew what I had to do. And then I was reading about, I was thinking, like, oh, I've got to go back on this low carb diet, but I can't remember exactly where. I'd heard of keto before and being into ketosis. So I think I just thought, well, I'll try that. So I did that. Another thing, I'm a singer as well, and I was having a lot of hoarseness in my voice and a lot of mucus after eating. I went to an ENT specialist. He put like a camera down into my larynx and filmed what was going on. And he said, "You've got LPR, which is a kind of acid reflux." So what was happening? My vocal cords were very inflamed, and he gave me a list of like foods to avoid, and it was things like mints and coffee, fatty meat. I can't remember a few other things. It was just kind of like an arbitrary list of things. So I did, and caffeine. I said stop drinking caffeine. So I did all those things, but they didn't really seem to fix the problem that I was having. Um, so I thought, well, I tried going vegan for a week. Um, that was pretty miserable. I just had no energy. Um, I just didn't enjoy that at all. And I knew about this keto thing, so I thought, okay, I'll try that now. So I did that. I calculated my macros. I had like a spreadsheet, and it was, I can't remember what you're supposed to do. It was like 20% of your calories from, I don't know what it is. It was a mixture of protein, carbohydrate, and fat. So I did that, and basically, yeah, I felt good. Um, my kind of mucus, my LPR thing, kind of got slightly worse, but I think that's because I was eating more fatty foods. I was eating more fatty meat on the keto diet. Initially, it got a little bit worse, um, but then it started to get better. I'm not sure why that is. I think it might be because the subcutaneous fat and the visceral fat, the different types of fat we have, and I think the visceral fat might have had something to do with the LPR symptoms. I'm not exactly sure why, but um, that's what I've heard. It can be related to that. So as I began to lose the fat, my symptoms gradually got less and less. Um, so I was doing keto, and I was doing all that stuff with the macros, I was trying to stay under 20 grams of carbohydrates a day. I was having like a few nuts and a few strawberries or raspberries, but I really found with that it was hard to stick to the limitations to stay under the 20 grams. Like if I bought like a packet of strawberries, um, I couldn't just have like three or four of them and then put the packet back in the fridge. I'd have to, well, I would do that, and then I'd sit there and want to finish the packet, and then half an hour later finish the packet because I've just got no willpower. And then, so it was kind of like, it kind of felt like there was, it was kind of like a struggle to stay within the limits of what you're meant to do. And then I saw a few videos. I'd heard of carnivore as well, because once you search for keto, online, you get carnivore coming up as well, and you get carnivore coming up in your feed on YouTube and that. So I think I found your channel. I found the channel Dr. Bart, um, and I found the video, the Anthony Chafee, the one where he's talking about plants are trying to kill you. Um, so I watched them and I thought, well, okay, maybe I'll try this. And it wasn't that much of a leap because I was already doing keto. I was already eating minimal amount of carbs. It was just a case of really upping the meat and the fat. So I thought I'd give it a go, and I did that, and I found it was a lot easier to do, and I wasn't counting down the minutes because when I was doing keto, I was trying to do like a 16-8 fasting cycle, but I would always be hungry in the mornings, and it was always like, well, looking at the clock, thinking how long until I can eat. But now, when I switched to carnivore, I found that I could just cruise right through, and I wasn't getting these massive hunger pangs like I was before. As long as I ate, enough meat and enough fat, um, I just found it so much easier. So I thought, yeah, this is what I'm doing, and I still felt the same. I was still having the benefits that I'd noticed on keto. I was still sleeping better. I was still having more energy. It was just, just a little bit easier for me to do um, with those things, and the and it's just a lot less hassle as well, a lot less boiling broccoli, washing pots and pans. I don't have to do all that. Like if I cook now, I'll just cook in the pan, and it's just uh, I'll do a steak. I'll put some butter in it or some beef tallow, and then I'll crack some eggs in it, and I'll scramble the eggs in the juice from the pan, and that's it. And the pan and the plate and the cutlery, that's all I can wash up for the day. It's just so much more convenient for me as well. And shopping, I just go. I order my meat. A lot of it I order online, like steaks, ribeye steaks. I order online, and then I'll go to the supermarket for some eggs and some ground beef, and it's just that's all I need usually. And then I get to I'm thinking I must have forgotten something. It's not supposed to be this. I'm in and out in 5 minutes. I'm sure like shopping didn't used to be this, you know, this quick. But no, that's all I need, just the meat and the eggs and maybe some water. Um, so yeah, that's where I'm at now, and that's been for about the past 6 months. I've been doing it like this.
In 6 months, I can certainly I jive with that as far as you kind of go somewhere and you think, well, there must be something I've forgotten, but it really is. It's just so easy, and of course, the washing up as well. A pot, a pan, the plate. That's it. Um, so in the 6 months, what what has changed for you that you haven't mentioned, like things like maybe weight or just generally appearance wise or your productivity and things like that?
My weight is settled around about 11 stone on the scales, which was down from about 15 and a half stone about 3 years ago. So that's from doing the low carb, then the keto, and the carnivore. So the carnivore, I think I've lost maybe, I haven't really lost that much weight on the scale, but I've stopped weighing myself. But last time I weighed myself a couple of weeks ago, it was just over 11 stone, or maybe it was just under. Um, my weight hasn't really, might have changed, might have gone down a little bit. Um, but I have noticed that my belt, I've had to change belts twice, so my waist size has actually gone down, even though my
Mm.
overall weight hasn't. And I think when people say losing weight, you have to add some nuance to that question, because when you can lose weight, you can lose weight by losing water. You can lose weight by losing muscle mass, but that's not necessarily what you want. Um, you can lose weight by dropping fat, but what kind of fat? Is it visceral fat? Is it the other kind of fat? Um, but yeah, my belt size has gone down. So, um, but I had noticed that you can it can go. It did go up a little bit actually recently, and I have been drinking, because I was drinking tea as well as coffee, but instead of milk, I was putting this double cream. Some people call it heavy cream, I guess, in the States, um, in my tea, and I was drinking quite a lot of that probably. So I don't know if that might have contributed to putting on a little bit of fat. I think you can still put on fat if you're on carnivore. So I stopped that recently. Um, so I was kind of suspicious about the double cream as well. It's meant to be completely carb free, but I'm not 100% convinced it is. Um, so yeah, that's the situation with the scales. Yeah. Oh, and I went on holiday. I went to Spain, and I didn't. This was after about 2 months, I think, of being on this diet on the carnivore side. I I thought I'll try not putting any sunscreen on and see what happens. And I didn't really get burnt, which was quite um, was quite pleasing. So I think that's one benefit as well. And I think that might be to do with not eating the seed oils. Um, I did have a tiny bit of peeling, but I mean, before, if I was exposed to that amount of sunshine on holiday, I would have been burnt to a crisp, definitely. But I wasn't this time, so there's definitely something in that, I'm sure. Yeah, and energy levels. I just got more. I go to bed. Uh, Kind of. I know I need to go to bed kind of like quite early now, because I know that I'll wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. For some reason, my body clock has just decided that's the time it's going to wake up. But I find that I sleep as soon as I don't have any insomnia now at all. As soon as I hit the pillow, I'm just out like a light. Uh, there's no counting sheep or anything. It's easy.
Has anything changed regarding your singing?
The LPR is like 80% better. It's still there a little bit. Um, I mean, it kind of it gets triggered from fatty foods, and I'm eating a lot of fatty foods now. I'm eating a lot of fatty meat, but it's still there a little bit, but it's not nearly as bad as it was, and it's been improving steadily. So hopefully, it will just continue to do that. Yeah.
So how regularly are you eating? Are you eating 2 times a day?
Usually, I'm eating twice a day, so I'll have probably between three-quarters of a kilo and a kilo of meat and about 8 eggs, give or take an egg. So I find that I can't eat a kilo of beef and 8 eggs in one go. So I have to split it up into 2 meals, usually. Mind you, I had quite a big steak this morning, and 5 eggs, and I haven't felt hungry yet. So I might just go today. I might just go all the way through till tomorrow. It depends, yeah. But it's usually 2 meals a day. Occasionally it'll be one, yeah. And try and I don't consciously try and limit my times or uh, fast for a next number of hours, but sometimes it just ends up that I'll go 16 hours without eating. Um, Sometimes I'll just eat earlier. I find if I eat earlier, um, well, I find if I'm hungry earlier, I can eat. But then if I just take my mind off it and do something else, the hunger pang just goes and I can just carry on. So it's like if your brain is expecting food, I think it gets the signal that to tell you you're hungry. But then if you just ignore it, then it kind of goes away. So you can push through it that way. And I find I can do that if I want to, if I want to just go through like the whole day without eating, which I haven't done for a while, but I did it a couple of 24-hour fasts. But um, usually I'll just eat around about 11 o'clock in the morning and maybe about 7 o'clock at night, or maybe 6 o'clock, around about those times.
So one thing that I wanted to follow up on, that I missed before was, you mentioned, you had Crohn's as a kid. Like, how's that now? Have you had to worry about that as an adult?
Um, no, I had it till I was till I was 17 years old. I had some surgery then, uh, and then I haven't really had any treatment since then. Um, but yeah, and I mean the Crohn's, it affects your digestive system, and all of that whole thing. And that was one of the things that I was initially worried about, and not having any fibre in my diet. Thinking what's going to happen, but as it turns out, that's not a problem. I found as long as I get enough fat, um, everything's everything's running smoothly. So yeah,
So how have people around you reacted to this?
um, I don't tend to tell people unless the subject comes up. So the people that I've told, immediate friends and family, they haven't freaked out. They haven't said, "Oh, you need vegetables. You need, you know, you need all these things." I tend not to really share it because I guess people are going to kind of think, yeah, you're doing the wrong thing. Obviously, it's quite um, a radical change from what the common advice is as far as diet is concerned. Yeah, and saturated fats. You're not supposed to have saturated fats. So we're all eating lots of saturated fats in the carnivore community.
So, on that then, what's your motivation for, wanting to, come on and speak with me?
Um, I think it's just to share my story, really, and if my experience can inspire someone else or help someone else, then great. That's basically it, really. Yeah, yeah. And I like your channel. I thought it would be a fun thing to do, really, just to come on and talk to you about this.
Cheers. Well, on the singing, um, you mentioned that, your singing coach or your singing teacher is based in Japan. You told me before we started recording.
Yeah,
Um, so what kind of singing is it that you do?
I kind of do rock singing. Um, so I do like guitar-based music. So I sing with that, record my own songs. Um, so that's basically what I do. I don't know if you call it metal, but it's kind of in that kind of hard rock vein.
Oh, cool. Um, and so is there, if people are interested in seeing you're seeing what you do you have a YouTube channel with with you singing on there?
I've got a YouTube channel with a few videos of me singing. Yeah, I need to find the actual name of the channel. So it's Megatron Man, which is one word. Megatronman.
Oh, nice. I'll definitely link to that below. Megatron Man. Awesome. How has your mental health or something like that changed in the last 6 months, if at all?
My outlook. I think my outlook has changed from being something where I thought this was going to be a temporary thing. When I first switched to like low carb and then keto, I was thinking, how long do I need to do this for before I can go back to having pizzas and chips? Maybe 2 or 3 years. That should reverse the damage that's been done, and then I can go back to doing what most people are doing. Um, but now I don't have any desire to do that at all. So that's the main thing that's changed. I don't know if that's because I was addicted to carbs and sugar to such an extent that that's the way I was thinking about everything, like it was going to be something I need to endure for a period of time. But now I don't want to. I don't really want to eat pizzas. If I've had a ribeye steak and some scrambled egg and some bacon, I've got no I've got no desire to go out and eat and eat a cake afterwards. It just doesn't appeal to me. So I guess that's the way my outlook has changed. I guess this is a long term thing. Um, might be for the rest of my life. That's fine if it is. If the science changes and it turns out that we're all going to drop dead because we're doing this, then obviously I'll have to reevaluate. But from what I've seen, that's not the situation at all. So yeah, it's a long term thing, and it's a long term thing as well. And so that also means I don't need to, like, when I went on holiday, I was thinking, how am I going to stick to this? How am I going to find restaurants? And I just decided, well, if I need to eat things that I wouldn't normally eat temporarily, I'll just allow myself to do that. I'm not going to go hungry. And I think that's fine if you're on holiday. You have to eat, and it's a temporary thing. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal. Um, and so that's what I went. I went with the outlook. As it turned out, um, I actually managed to stick to the carnivore while I was on holiday, which was great. But no, yeah, it's a long term thing. So a slip up here and there isn't be that much of a big deal when you're doing it for the rest of your life. You're doing it for decades. You're not doing it for a few weeks. Yeah.
Have you, in the 6 months that you've been doing carnivore, have you been to see your doctor? Have you checked things like your bloods, like your cholesterol and things like that?
I went to have my bloods done at my GP at the start. So just when I started doing carnivore, um, my all my levels were within range. There wasn't anything. Uh, she said there wasn't anything to be concerned about. I can't remember exactly what they were, but yeah, it was basically normal. Um, So I'll probably go soon and get them done again, see if anything's changed.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thanks for having me.